Welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, the podcast dedicated to helping you unlock your full potential through the power of mindset. Join Dr. Alisa White, a transformative creator and multi-award-winning trailblazer, as she guides you on a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. With a background in corporate leadership and workforce development, Dr. Alisa has dedicated her career to inspiring individuals to achieve their goals and dreams. Known as the #1 mindset disruptor, she firmly believes that the key to success lies within the mind. Dr. White has witnessed the incredible impact a shift in mindset can have on one's life, career, and relationships. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just beginning your journey of self-discovery, you'll find valuable lessons, inspiring stories, and practical tools to elevate your life. In each episode, Dr. Alisa engages with thought leaders, coaches, and changemakers from around the globe, exploring their journeys and the mindsets that have propelled them to success. Get ready to reframe your perspective, embrace challenges, and cultivate the mindset necessary to achieve your dreams. Now let's dive into today's episode and discover how to master your mindset for a brighter, more fulfilling future. Welcome back to Mindset Mastery Moments. In this second part of our enlightening conversation with Giro, we explore the profound relationship between healing and abundance. Gina shares her expertise on the emotion code, emphasizing the importance of releasing trapped emotions and recognizing how our past experiences shape our present realities. Get ready for another inspiring discussion that will empower you to embrace your journey toward personal growth and fulfillment.
I said, drown out the noise. Okay, you're reading 5 books at a time. No, pick a theory. Pick a theory, focus on that theory, practice it. Maybe it's not going to work for you. Now you go figure out another one. You can't do it all at the same time. And some people they come to me and I'm like, but you already have a life coach. What do you need? Well, I need you to help me find a job. Okay, but then now we're doing coaching and you're telling me what your life coach said. Your life coach is not expertise in career coaching. So just
right.
But you can't, because you're juggling doing both of us right now at the same time, you're confusing things that don't go together, and it's not any of our fault. So I tend to release, if I'm working with you and I realize you need therapy, I will release you of the contract so you can go get therapy, and then say, when you deal with the therapist, ask them when it's a good time to include me. I don't mind someone having a therapist while they're working with me as a coach, but because of where they land and the blockage, that's beyond my scope. So you need to deal with your therapist, and you might need to deal with them exclusively to get over that, to go under that, what's there, and unroot it. And then you can come back to getting the work done, because that's what coaches do. We do some unearthing, but we really help you create that roadmap and follow and walk it with you, which is a little bit different from therapy.
Yeah. And I wonder, sometimes I think people end up doing that. I did that. I mean, I have so many courses, and it's like, I finally realized, it was about 5 years ago, where I was like, I keep thinking a different coach or a different course or a different thing is going to make the difference. And it was really a self-worth issue.
Yep.
And thinking somebody else had the answers that were inside of me all along.
Yep.
So,
and that's that light you spoke about earlier, being afraid of the light inside of you.
Yeah, totally. I used to before a coaching call, I would study what my teacher would say, because I thought she was such an expert, but this person's coming to me. So you gotta trust that you're going to get on that call or get on the stage or get on the podcast or whatever. And the right answers are going to come through. It was
the best thing that ever happened to me. And I did not realize how much is already inside me. It's like a fountain that never ends. Sometimes I get on people's podcasts and I'm listening to myself. I'm like, oh, I need to write that down. But that's you talking. And that's what I love about getting on podcasts and things different from doing a speech. Because when you get on a podcast, it's like a reservoir opens up and your stuff is coming out of you. And I feel like it's the most underused tool for creating impact. Even if one person just hears your story about going to LA today and they change, do you know how much good karma you get for yourself? I
never thought of it like that. I always think if it helps one person, it's worth the time, or it's worth, the energy, but I did not think about the ripple effect. And then how happy that person is.
Effect that comes back to you.
I never thought of it coming back to me.
Yeah, that's why your work goes. And that's like a lot of people, I've heard people say, well, I did all this, paid for all this, and I went here and this didn't happen and that didn't happen. I'm like, okay, what did happen? What did? Well, I gotta, I would say I give a really great speech. I did a great interview. Then you did your job. You planted your seed. The problem is that farmers don't have that they know when they plant their seed and they do what they do to water it, till the soil, keep the weeds away, keep the bugs away. They know. But the problem is they have to wait. Not the problem. The thing is, they also know they have to wait, because we call the problem, that's the problem, because we look at it as a problem. It's that in the meantime, when you don't see the seeds budding, it's in the ground, in the dark for all that time. And you're like, fingers crossed that it's going to come through. But the farmer feels and knows it's going to. He expects it to. We need to do the same. I plant the seed and it's going to grow. Induce it.
Absolutely. I love this analogy too while we're talking about it. So like the soil does not care what you plant. There's no judgment where it's like corn is better than, or strawberries are better than corn. So I'm not going to grow corn. I'm growing strawberries. So whatever seed you plant, like you're not, the only person judging you is you.
Exactly.
God's not judging.
Like, whatever you put in here, I'm going to grow it. I'm going to do me.
Yeah. The soil is not judging. You just plant the seed, you water it, you take your actions, and don't keep digging it up to say, is it sprouting yet? Because you slow it down when you do that.
Yes. Ooh, I love that. I love that. So just plant seeds. Oh my God. I love it. So when you talk about emotion code, what does that mean?
So it's the releasing of the trapped emotions. And maybe we could just do like a little demo, because it's very experiential, more so than like, just hearing about it. And
explanation. Yes.
That's how I got certified, because I had the experience of releasing a trapped emotion for myself. And I was like, this is amazing. I need to learn everything there is to do about it.
Yes. Let's do it.
Okay, so what is it? It can be a physical thing, or it can be like, it can be financial, it can be self-worth. Like, give me a topic and I'll find some emotions that are probably trapped around it.
I like to do money. I can never do enough. I think that's one of my biggest areas that I continue to go back to, because that's the thing I'm unlocking right now in my life.
Okay, so let's ask this. Now, I've already prayed before we got on this call and connected to source. So I'm just going to start my muscle testing.
Yes.
That's how I get the answers. So am I testing for Dr. Alisa White and only Dr. Alisa White? Yes. Okay, so I know that I'm only testing for you and not any other energies that could be around or like people watching.
Yes.
Okay, so is there, okay, also let's be a little bit specific. We're working on money. Do you want to find a regular money block, or do we want to work on a specific number or a specific goal, whether that's X amount of clients this year or a certain net worth?
Okay, so I want to have 6-figure months in my coaching and my business operations.
Beautiful. Okay, so is there anything blocking Alisa from 6-figure months? Yes. What is the biggest block to 6-figure months? Do we need to know more about this? Okay, so the emotion is frustration, and you don't just release it. For this particular one, there's more we need to know. So I'm going to find out, what age was this trapped? Mm-hmm. Was this trapped before age 30? Was it trapped before age 25? Okay, so frustration at age 26. So think about where you were in life. I think you might, okay, do we need to know more about this? Yeah. No, because it's coming up to the surface, like you're conscious of it now.
Yep.
So the beautiful thing about this, there's like fail safes built into this work. If you thought it was about this other thing, but it's really about the thing you're thinking of, I would be getting the answer. There's more we need to know. But I know that the thing you're thinking of is what the frustration was about because there's nothing else I need to know. I can just release it now. So it's like it won't let us blame something on our parents if it was really about work or our relationship.
It
won't let
my
you.
relationship. And you want me to tell you at 26?
You can.
I was buying, we went to get our first home and I watched The Pursuit of Happiness. And I was laughing because I tell the story and I panicked. We already got approved everything and I panicked and I called off buying that house because whatever Will was doing in the movie, I don't remember specifically what it was because that's a long time ago. Believe it or not, guys, I'm 44 at the time of this. So that's almost like 20 years ago. But my ex-husband, who was my husband at the time, I was like, yeah, we can't do this. And then I jumped back in like 5 months later, but it was the fear because there was so much happening in the dynamic of our relationship that made me feel like we weren't ready. And I was raised with a thought of not hanging your hat where your hand can't reach. And so people who are from my country listening or the Caribbean will get it, which means don't live above your means technically. So basically never reach for the stars. So like if you're in this level, you shouldn't be thinking about buying a house. You're not the type of people that thinks about buying a house because you should be making 6-figure income to be able to be buying a house. Now we could, for the American concept, we were obviously, they want to prove us we could afford to buy a house. But for my beliefs and how I was bringing, we can't afford to buy a house because we were buying it on debt. Like we're going to owe someone for 30 years. And then if we didn't pay it, we would be where Will was with his son on the street in the pursuit of happiness and all the ideals that came from that movie. Nothing was wrong with the movie is how I interpret it through the lens of my limiting belief windows that I inherited from the environment I was raised in.
Okay, so that's like cultural programming, societal, just even like your neighborhood, like the town I'm from lives a certain way.
Hardworking people.
And they live, yes.
Middle income is average, just hardworking people who make sure their kids get to eat, have a roof over their head. If they can finish high school and get a job at, the factory or to be a teacher, even better. You're better if you
get a good pension.
Yeah, somewhere, work with the union, have a union job, work at the railroad. Yeah. That would be my type of.
And that's programming. And okay, so we're going to release this in a second. Don't let me forget to release it.
No.
We are programmed from ages 0 to 7. We don't have a consciousness. That's why when someone tells you, hide your kids' ears right now, because I'm about to talk about Santa. That's why we believe at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, it's around 8 or 9, kids start being like, well, how does he get to every house? Like, that's not possible. We don't question what our authority figures are telling us. So if they say money's hard, we got to wait till the 15th to buy that, whatever, then we're just like, that's the way the world works. So that's why a lot of times we're not aware of our programming, and the answers do lie in childhood, ages 0 to 7. And even if you're like a lot of like middle class and we had enough, but not more than enough, or it was very tight, or we had enough, but the story, because it's inherited probably from the older generation, was we have to save, we can't buy that, buy the cheapest possible thing, even though it'll cost you more in the long run.
Right.
So, okay, let's release your frustration.
Ooh.
Destroy and uncreate frustration through all time, space, dimension, and reality. Is frustration released? It is. And if you're super sensitive, you might have felt tingling or just
right now my fingers have a little bit of a numbness.
So sometimes people can feel it and sometimes not. I just have a feeling, a clear sentient knowing.
Because I had a little bit of like anxiety just right before you start to release. Like I was like, that's weird. What is that?
Let's ask this. Was frustration contributing to anxious thoughts? Yes. So it's like, and sometimes you'll feel the height of the emotion either right before it's released or as your body processes it. You'll be processing this for maybe a day or two. So you could feel it again later today.
Okay.
Usually people don't, but you could. Okay. Is there anything else blocking Alisa from 6-figure months? Okay. I'm going to give it all at the same time. Was this trap before age 20? Was this trap before age 15? Was this trap before age 10? Okay. Age 11, guilt, which is the feeling of having done wrong or committed an offense, taking responsibility for the harmful actions of another, like abuse, a parent's divorce, a death, often accompanied by feelings of depression, shame, and self-abuse.
Definitely the biggest thing happened at 11 when I was supposed to go away to like a boarding school. I got the top school in the entire Caribbean. I was top 30 in the entire Caribbean, not my country alone, the Caribbean. And I was supposed to go to this school. It was called President's College, and I didn't go. I canceled and went to the one that wasn't a boarding school so I can protect. I didn't want to leave my mother and my siblings. Like, I didn't want to leave. I felt like if I wasn't there, they weren't going to be safe.
So you felt guilty for like getting out or being
Yeah, and I
chosen
did
or like
go.
leaving them.
And I feel like I changed the course and the trajectory of I altered my own thing and came off track because that's always what I wanted. I worked hard for it. I achieved it. And I mean, you're talking, I was 11. I was 11 years old and I had this goal since I was like 5. And I was the very first in my dad's family to achieve it. I had 2 cousins on my mom's side who achieved that. And one had graduated and one was still there. And then I had another cousin who we did it together and we were supposed to go together. And he was so mad. I promise you, I think I got off my own life course.
Wow. Do you feel like I think that when you're conscious, it doesn't work like this for everybody, but probably for people watching this, if you're trying at all, you're not going to stay off course forever. Like,
no, you don't. You get
paths lead back
but
to
it
the
took
path.
a long time. So what I learned in that journey is that was the first time I started to make decisions about the people in my life and not for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that carried through in when I used to be married. And a lot of people would be like, well, that's victimhood. No. I had to uncover. I didn't figure this out until about less than 4 years ago that was a thing I did. I chose to be protective, but it turns out I dig deeper. I was like that in utero. There were events that occurred that caused me to have a setup naturally to protect my mom before I even came out of her uterus. She doesn't know this. She might listen to this, but I grew up with that protection. So when she had my sister 2 years after me, I'm responsible for her. My brother, 10 years after me, which is 8 years after my sister, I was responsible for them. They don't know I had to work to remove that assignment that I would say somehow induced on myself. No obligation of theirs, no fault of theirs. They probably don't even know, but they will tell you how I showed up in their world that, yeah. And then they will also tell you in my later adult life, I seem to be completely hands off. And they felt abandoned at some point some years ago because I was pulling off. I was trying to figure out where did I lose myself, but the work I was doing, it attached me. So it wouldn't surprise me if I still have some trapped emotion still because it's still I'm just like not even 4 years of recognition, but I know when it comes up and I address it. Oh,
wow.
That again, address it. So we need to really, like, you're just spot on right now. Like wildly spot on. And I'm like, whoa, it did start at 11. And I know this before I got on this call, but I didn't realize how that would affect my money. That's what you're connecting for me.
Yeah, because so this is what I love. So sometimes I'll be like, okay, what do you want to work on today? And they're like, attracting clients or, making this amount of money normal. And also I've got this weird pain in my left shoulder and like, I keep waking up at 1:00 in the morning. So I'm like, okay, ask their higher self, what's the most important or what's in their highest good to work on first. And they're like, higher self's like shoulder pain. So in the shoulder pain, what's causing the shoulder pain? And there'll be like a belief about being seen. Oh, maybe this is why you're not getting clients, because you're afraid to be seen. How it all feeds in together is my point. Like, we think the shoulder pain is just physical, but your whole entire, like this desk, your body, your glasses, the microphone, it's all made of energy. Every single thing in the world is energy. So like energy, once I got that, like really got it and accepted it, I'm like, energy healing is the only thing that makes sense to me.
Right.
I mean, clearly, if you get bit by a dog,
You're
do
gonna
not book
do
an
the other
energy
stuff,
healing
but you know
session.
what? Their science is proven that you people heal faster because of their connecting with the energy, and that the body will naturally heal itself if energetically you're in alignment. Because think about it, all the modern medicine is still called practicing medicine for a reason.
Yeah. Yes.
But because back in the days, our ancestors, I'm talking about my grandma and my grandpa, they did not have doctors. I mean, I came from a third world country, so they had doctors, but they didn't have all that. It was just people who literally had a stethoscope and it could check your heartbeat. And, that's why my birthday is kind of messed up. I'm saying this out of work because I was born at home. A midwife came to the home and delivered me. I wasn't born at a hospital. And so whatever she remembered, it was the last one. We started this journey. It was this date, but we put this date because that's what I remember. But you really were born this time. My mama knows what time I was born. So she knew it was the next day. And then she finally told me. But I was walking around holding a different birthday. So I hold it for record's sake. But for my birthday, my real birthday, it's a different day from what everyone knows it to be.
Wow.
So I honor my birthday. And now Elon Musk has got me not really worrying about birthdays at all because he was so right. Energetically, we tell ourselves we're getting older. We tell ourselves that we're getting older. We tell ourselves we're getting older. Oh, it's my birthday. I got older. Oh my God. Yeah, when you hit 40, you get gray. Your back hurts. All that stuff. He's like, no one, and I met people in Africa who don't know when's their birthday. And they look just a little bit older than me. They have no clue when their birthday is. You can ask them 100. I'm like, so you don't know when you're born? No. You don't know when you're born? No, 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 Dr. Alisa. I don't know when my birthday. I don't have birthday. My birthday every day.
I love that.
Like
You're not identified, and then you don't have a story. Like my parent, and I'm just like, oh, stop saying it. It sucks getting old. This is happening because I'm getting old. Meanwhile, I was in Santa Monica last weekend, like 2 years ago, but when this was happening, and I saw like a 60-year-old on a skateboard.
Right.
I'm like, you're only getting old because you say you are.
That's what he said. Because he's like, in a year, scientifically, your body doesn't change that much.
No, and getting into like, I'm very much coming back. Not that I was ever I was. To like Jesus, I wouldn't say I was far, but I'm really like into Jesus and learning the actual truth.
That's my one and my big time role model. That's my Holmes right there.
I know. I love you. I would say, and I've never been wanted to be the girl that's like, I love Jesus and Jesus loves you, but like, why wouldn't I? So there was some indoctrination, got away from it. I'm coming back because all roads come back. And like, Jesus was the most powerful healer we've ever known. And he did it very much with love and with his hands. So like, was he doing Reiki? The breath of life and all these things. You can give
when
Reiki
you think
for your
of
breath.
all the things, and that's why a lot of Christians argue about meditation and yoga, and we talk about, and even fasting, which has completely changed my life, and I think restructuring my DNA. Jesus did them all. Jesus he said, meditate on the word day and night. And I'm like, why would he say it's meditations in the Bible so many times? And yet I've had Christians saying, we're not picking on Christians, say, I don't believe in meditation. What do you think prayer is? It's meditation.
Mm-hmm. There was a show that said meditation is less talking and more listening.
That's right.
Pray to God, and the meditation is so you can hear what God has to say to you.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And that's what Jesus did in Gethsemane. That's why he was there and he said, would you watch with me? He wasn't talking. He said one thing, only one thing we remember. He said, if this cup, let this cup pass from me. Meaning, he said, if this is not supposed to happen to me, just stop it. That's all that's mentioned that Jesus said in the Garden of Gethsemane, which tells me he was in meditation, listening to God, because if God told him, get up and go here and escape there, he would have escaped the whole crucifixion, but God did not let that cup pass. But the way he knew that it needed to happen, it was going to happen, and he stayed in it, is in quiet and in meditation. He got directives. That's my interpretation.
Wow.
But what if I had just thought what everyone told me about what was happening? But I feel when you get the revelation from God, it's the one you're supposed to get, because those passages of scripture can be viewed from so many different perspectives. It never ends.
They can. And I think why I got away from it was like, no, is because I was maybe having it interpreted by like people who had also been programmed, and it just says this and you believe it because it says it. But I had questions, and
why
also at a very young age, I remember being very scared for Jewish and Buddhists, because I'm like, but they're going to go to hell. Like they don't know. They weren't born here.
That's
like
how I was.
Told them. And I was very scared. And then I'm like, as I get older, and can think for myself a little bit more, I'm just like, it can't work that way.
Not if he's a God of love.
Right. And they never had a chance to know. Like they might have a belief in their religion that says Christians are going to wherever.
Right.
Is, because that's like, but I wasn't raised Buddhist, so I don't know.
Right.
Any of those things.
But
So
I couldn't see the God that I feel so much love and protection and guidance from just punishing people. That's not even the God of the Bible. So I don't know. It's not the God of Islam either, or Hindu or Hinduism, or because I was raised with the three major religion. I was raised Christian, but I was raised with the three major religion. And the one thing I could tell you is all of them says God is love.
Yeah. And that makes sense to me. I can get on board
Mariam
with that.
Williamson, A Return to Love.
Oh.
That book for me is the book of the books. I don't know if you read it.
Isn't she teaching A Course in Miracles in that book?
It is A Course in Miracles, yeah. Which, as a Christian, I was forbidden to read, not to read.
So I think why I brought all this up is because, she's been a client, is how I met her, but we've become friends. And she sent me this YouTube podcast about the Essenes. So the Essenes are like, I don't really fully I get it, but I don't know if I can explain it, but I could send this to you. We could link it if you want to.
Yeah.
But the Essenes like actually talked about the truth of Jesus and not all the chapters that were taken out of the Bible. So there's like this whole picture that we have not been like privy to.
Yeah.
And then what was I going to say about Jesus? Being the healer. I can't remember. It might come back, but yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, Jesus, how did he do miracles, right? How did he turn 5 loaves of bread and 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes, 5 fish, 2 loaves. You see, that's me. I'll be messing stuff up. But how did he do all that? How did he manifest that? But we're like, oh, he can do it. But he was walking around as a man.
That's what I always said. I'm like, but Jesus was a human being. Like,
yeah, he was. It says in the Bible, he was just in the flesh. He was a man. So how did he really do that? Or was that a parable? Or did he break it up into enough pieces? Tell me more is the questions I always have as a young child. I was the one that was like, if God made the heaven and earth, who made God? That was always me. So I'm just like you. And so I always have questions. So I went to Bible school. Like people don't even know I could be a preacher. I have my associate in biblical studies and all that stuff because I wanted to know. And I thought maybe more people who were smarter will have more answers and they didn't. And that's when I was like, okay, so I've learned that the answers will be revealed to me in time and I will get them through experiences by being around like-minded individuals, but then also filtering it through the voice of God, he already said I was created in his image and his likeness. So
yeah, so
God-like.
In Eat, Pray, Love, the quote is God dwells within you as you. And I was even just like doing my gratitude this morning. And I'm like, I love being an extension of God. And I love like living through, and I'm like, no, I'm not living through you. You're living through me. And I love it. And I welcome it.
And that's what I believe when the Bible says, when Jesus was ascending back to heaven, he said, I will send a comforter, and through him you will do greater work. And that's the Spirit. That's the Holy Spirit. And so that's him living through me. And that's the done. It works for my religious belief, and it works for any other belief. If you don't want to say Jesus and Holy Spirit, don't say it. But when you open up your heart and your mind, that's where that consciousness is, where I say that inner voice is where God speaks, because that's the Holy Spirit for me. And, Mariam Wilson talks about it as well. The Holy Spirit speaks. And so it's all pure love and light. There's only two forces, fear and love. Mm. And when you connect with the Spirit of God, then it's love and light. So us are human. Our ego is where it comes up in all the anger and fear, but that's the fear base, which is not evil. It's part of that human experience of living in a body. But it's not who wrong. You are. You are light, and you are love. You are God-like in the flesh on earth, period. And so there's this guy who channels aliens. I don't know if you've seen him, Bashar.
I follow him on Instagram.
Right. So, but Bashar talks about how there's no other life out there. He says they're all life, but none of them experience the world or earth or life the way we do. As humans, we are a very unique species. And so some people might say, well, there are no life out there. You don't have to believe it, but there's everything points back to the uniqueness of what being a human is. And he says, you all chose to come have the experience. Mm-hmm. And so you do. And it's one that's a gift.
So that's another thing that I tell myself when I want, like, we're going on a big trip to Europe in a couple of weeks. And it's like, God wants me, whether this is true or not, it feels good to believe it.
And it works for you. Yeah.
And it works for me. God wants me to go because God wants, we're here to experience things for God. As God works through us. It's the whole, God's everything. God's love. It's everywhere.
Yes.
So God wants me to grow my business and help certain people. God wants me to go to Italy and light up my soul and have these experiences. And I really feel like there's something, I don't know what it is yet, but things keep coming.
Something good to connect when you do that trip.
It really does. Something heals, whether it's my lineage or my soul. But I know, I'm not going back to the same place 3 times just for funsies. I mean, yes, I am going for funsies.
Right. But there's deeper work and meaning
calling me back there.
Yeah.
And I remember what I was going to say, that when we do drugs, alcohol, I hate to say it, but cussing, because they're curse words. They're called curse words for a reason. Curses are energy. When it's wishing kind of bad on somebody.
Yeah. And it's not just about the word, it's the context of other
emotion, the intention behind it, wishing someone bad. Those are all sort of darker things. Mm-hmm. So when we smoke and drink and do all these things, share too much of our energy, sexually with too many people.
That's right.
No judgment, but I'm just saying, we lose little pieces of our life. And if you live a whole life like that, that's actually what ages you.
That's right. That is why some of us don't look our age.
Yeah. And I have good genes, but I also feel I'm into I'm learning how to reverse age, with energy.
And it is possible. I believe it.
Absolutely. My husband's sober. I barely drink alcohol. Just really every once in a while. I quit smoking.
I don't care about alcohol.
Other substances once I'm learning this, because I'm just so into being all that I can be.
Light.
Yes. And I realized, so when you do drugs and alcohol, so alcohol is spirits. It attracts spirits and entities. That's why you feel so bad, and why it's such a, mm-hmm. And I'm not saying a champagne toast for celebration or 2 glasses of wine. I'm talking about getting drunk. Daily. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And day after day, you lose little pieces of your light. It attracts darkness. Mm-hmm. And there's it all speaks for itself.
You don't understand, but it does. And, a lot of people, I realize, I always say, it seems like I was raised in a little bubble, and I'm so grateful for the bubble. because the way I learn about a lot of things is like I just hear about them. The way
Mhm.
I know about a lot of things, like some people, I make analogies about gangsters and mafias, and they're like, how do you even know this stuff? Well, I watch enough movies and I study enough psychology so I can put the two together. And I know how, but I learn from other people's mistake. Is what they
Yeah.
said. A smart person learns from other people's mistake. A wise person learns not to make those mistakes anyway. And so my goal is to stay on the wise side, but I didn't think of it. I just heard that recently on social media, but that's my learning. And a lot of people to say, well, you're not a this, you're not a that, so you won't know. I'm like, no, and I'm happy. I used to feel left out. And now I'm like, I don't know. So I didn't have to struggle it. I empathize, but I realized why I was being preserved, I think intentionally by God from some things. So I didn't have to struggle with it because it shows people there's a life outside of the struggle that you are dealing with. And it's like, imagine something to look at and be like, I can do this if I let this go. Whereas most people think, well, people will believe you more if you've gone through it. No, I think people will just believe that it's possible because they can see it and you become their possibility. Period. It doesn't matter which way it is.
Yeah. Everyone needs someone
Because
to
if you
look
don't
up
believe in
to.
yourself, you're not getting anyway. Doesn't matter who shows up in front of you. Oprah could come here and be like, Alisa, you're going to have the best podcast in the universe. You're the next me. And if I don't believe it, Oprah can give me $10 million to pay for me to have my own studio, buy the property and everything, and I will do nothing but flop. So
That
no
is
one can believe
exactly
in me.
why lottery, like this is scientifically proven, lottery winners lose all the money and they end up right back where they started within, I think it's 2 years, maybe 3, because
I've seen it in front of my eyes.
subconsciously they don't think they deserve it or they don't know what to do with it. And so you put yourself right back where you think you deserve to be because there's no unconscious alignment with what actually just happened. So if
Yes.
unconsciously you're like, I don't deserve it and I should do this and this with it. I need to help everybody. I need to go buy a new car instead of invest it and live off the investments. You just waste it away and you end up right back where you started. So that's why it's so important. Like with belief code, it's releasing belief systems. Mm-hmm. So an entire belief system around like not just getting the money, but you got to be comfortable holding on to it. Some people are so like, who am I to have more than I need? I had to work through that one for a long time because I just felt so bad. Like so many people have so little. Who am I to ask for even more? But exactly. How can I help people who have so little if I don't have anything?
If I don't have enough, more than enough for myself, more than enough.
Yeah. If I was sick, abundance. I wouldn't be like, no, who am I to get better because other people are sick? I would just do everything I could do to get better. And then I could take care of sick people if I have my health.
That's right. So you have to be. And that is why some of us would learn early. Like you said, you drop some habits. And then there's me who a lot of things I didn't get into because that brings me to the journey earlier. Like as a young girl in Guyana, South America, I was going out and picking up children throughout different neighborhoods that were impoverished and bringing them to Sunday school. And I talk to people, like I tell people like they would see all the global work I do and how many youths and things from around the world just are in my world and we're working and training them and all that stuff. And I'm like, but you're seeing this with me at 44, but you wouldn't see me at 9 and 10 leading groups of children from neighborhoods that would be less fortunate than me, or taking out bags of my sister, my mom and I and my sister packing our clothes and going to give it to those young people. I'm not saying this to my own horn, but I've always been this way is my point. Yeah, I've been practicing. So this just doesn't come. It's who I am, right? And so that's why when I got an award for building a school in Africa, I was like, what, all these awards? I'm like, I just took my tithe and offering instead of giving it to the church, and I stopped doing my nails and my hair, and I took that money and built that school little by little. Why do I get an award for that? Isn't that what we do? Those kids were under a tree, couldn't go to school. So I did something. Like that's not what we do. No, Alisa, that's not what we do. Because there's people who promise to work on this project who actually have money. You don't. Like, I am not rich. This I literally didn't do tithes and offering for a few months, and I didn't do my nails and my hair for a few months, and just took all that money. That's at over $600 a month. Easy it was, and it didn't cost me $5,000 to build a school in Africa, because those young people and children built the school themselves. All they needed was the material, and they went and got their own dirt, mud, and sand and made the blocks. They needed the roofing material, they needed the wood, and they built it, and they bought the blackboards and put that. We put a water system in there. It was big. It was like pre-K age to about 8th or 9th grade. A lot of kids, but they only had school when it didn't rain under the tree. Wow. I just needed to do something. That's all. My point is, I was like this my whole life, just doing something, right? So I was raised that. What I'm saying is the light within you, because when I went through divorce, when I had miscarriage, the light within me was being, I would say, messed with. Because now I was getting angry. I was getting fearful. Why would all this bad stuff happen to me when I haven't even done anything wrong? Like, what's the problem? And that's when I start looking into past lives and all kinds of stuff. And we're not going to go there, but I start to realize it's not about me. And now there's things that I don't know in my conscious awareness that I might be cleaning up. So let's just focus on, why am I here? If I'm not supposed to have kids, where I thought that was going to be the whole thing about my life, if I'm not to, staying married to this guy I thought I was going to be married to ever, then who am I and why am I here? The plan didn't change. The same girl that did all the stuff. So what we do is come back, because the light was being fought out of me. Like, I wanted to give up. I wanted to not like people, because I was mad at God. I mean, everything. And that's where we lose the light in increments. And then we become distracted from why we are here, because we're trying the things we're supposed to learn from, we end up clinging to. And then we don't shine anymore. And now we're going to add the spirits. Maybe now let me start smoking weed so I can feel relaxed. Let me drink some alcohol so I can chill. Let me start dating. I'm not married anymore. Well, I can have multiple men. Like, how many men can I have? And how much money they're going to give me and take me on trips? Like, you start losing the light and you're going far away from who you are. So that's what I had. One prayer is, why am I still here if you didn't kill me? And then I got over that, because that was a fear-based prayer. And then I went to, if I'm still here, then I have purpose. Then what is it? Which sounded a whole lot better. But the truth is, I focus more, and I continue to. Dear God, I remember when I was a child, I always wanted to be like Jesus. He just went around being good, spreading light, love, and joy. He even made wine for a party. Like, Jesus was a good cat, man.
Cool. Yeah.
And that's who I always wanted to be like. That was when I just want to be like Jesus. I still want to be like Jesus. And may I never let this darkness take over. May I always have the power, moment by moment, incident by issue, challenge by challenge, to just stay on track with the light and the love that you've given. That's why I signed Love, Light, Peace, and Blessings, Dr. Alisa, because it's not because I'm full of love, light, peace, and blessing, because I am filled with it, but I am making sure I try to stay furthest away, because there are times I could be, I can have those moments, but that's not who I am. Yeah. I identify as love, light, peace, and blessings. I identify. You hear what I'm saying? That's my identity. I do things that does not look that way, but who I am is that. That's who we all are. And I'm like preaching like if I'm on the pulpit now. I give up. I'm off my soapbox.
No, you are speaking the truth. And I want to take notes of really what
we'll listen to the podcast, because we're just facilitating right now, right? So it helps us to go back and listen. I know for me, we're facilitators.
Yeah. Okay, I just remember two things. First of all, had you stayed there, down, feeling sorry, victimized, just, whatever, why this happened to me and all that, that's exactly what dark forces would love. They want to keep us away from doing big things or being entrepreneurs. having an amazing soul fulfilling trip somewhere that you've always wanted to go, keeping you broke, not understanding your worth. Like, your worth is not in question. Please believe me, you just are worthy. Like, so can we just like
Period.
leave that and move on to the next thing? And then the next thing also, okay, another thing I want to say, like, money only makes you more of who you already are. So if you're greedy and are out for only yourself, yeah, money's going to make you more of that. But if you're love, light, peace, and blessings and have the heart to help children and build schools, money is only going to like empower you to do that. So can we also get rid of the belief of like rich people are evil and billionaires are terrible? Like,
right.
Some are and some aren't. Like, money is neutral, and how we use it
is the energy
on the person.
That's what makes it the currency.
Yeah.
How we use it is what makes it the currency. It's neutral, but that's what makes it the currency. I love that.
100%. And like a kitchen knife, you can use that to like make a salad and prepare a beautiful meal for your family because you want to get that feeling of serving them.
Yeah.
Or you can hurt somebody with it.
Yes.
But the knife itself isn't bad. It's just how the person
uses it. Where we
if you're a good-hearted,
we can cut people.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're a good person, like, money's only going to make you more, like, give you more power and energy to do the good things that you would do. So that's why I love to help like spiritual women, people who are healers, get more money, because like we're the ones that are going to do good things with the money instead of like hoard it and buy like human beings.
Exactly. Or some
you know what I mean?
Stuff. Right.
Here's the other thing too. I thought, because human trafficking is not cheap. Nope. Like, to buy a person is not cheap. And I think, well, why are they allowed to buy that, but I can't have like a Gucci bag?
Exactly.
Like, I think I can. So again, like, the soil is not judging what we, unfortunately, like with some people, I wish they'd be a little more judged, but they'll get theirs in time.
Yes.
So really, like, you can have whatever you want. That's a sick analogy, but I was watching a human trafficking documentary and I was like, if I had $30,000, that is not what I would spend my money on.
Exactly. And why do they do it and that's the thing. I tell my students all the time. I said, I try to go inside of the mind of criminals all the time. And the only thing I've ever seen is that they have the same exact discipline of a successful person who's making money and doing good in the world. It's just they're using it for a different thing. And so it's when I talk about, because I work with people who sometimes came out, work with the population of people who are re-entry population as well at times to get them back into being productive members of society, find a career and all that stuff when they come out from prison. And so I remind them, and they're like, how is this lady, this nice little cute little lady, how does she talk? How does she know? Well, I watch enough movie and psychology, and then I'm intuitive too and clairvoyant. So I kind of feel the energy. I get reads on who is there. And this is the first time I've said that out loud in public, but I can see things. And so I get revelation. And so I'm telling them of their whole journey. And they're like, how did she know? And then I'm saying, just the way you did that. And I'm not pointing anyone out because I'm in a group session, just the way you did that. Think of how you can use that same motivation, energy, strategic formula to strategize to be this successful in this career. And though you never have to go back to prison, you never have to deal with prison again, and you will be successful. You just committed your mind to being successful this way. Now let's do a recommitment and use the same strategy, belief that you believe in yourself to win this way, to win here. That's the only difference. Because I said, let's do a comparison about the child who grew up with their father wasn't there. My poor parents divorced at, I was probably 16. I had already suffered a head injury. You might be like, well, that's really sad that your dad hurt you and you had lost your memory. But I'm like, your dad abandoned you. You don't even know who he is. What's the difference between us? I keep choosing every day. I said, I had times where I could have murdered people. I could have been a stripper and made quick money. I could have trapped a man with a baby. I had all the same choices you did. But you were this? Yeah, because I keep choosing, and I really don't want you to overwhelm yourself with the choices because it's hard, but just make one choice at a time. Just choose. I say, choose not to smoke today. Just choose. I'm not going to smoke for the next 5 hours. I'm not going to smoke for the next hour even. I don't care. Start somewhere. And you commit to that and do your darnest. Look at an hour, and then when the hour is up, maybe you go smoke. You did it for 1 hour. Try it again. Do it for 2 hours again. After you smoke that one, 2 hours. But this someone who does therapy will tell me that that's not how that works. But I will tell you, people need to see small wins.
Yeah.
To
and to build
change
your belief
behavior.
and confidence of
Right,
like,
because
okay, if I
more
could
than
do it for an
likely,
hour, why can't I do it for
do
two?
it for
Like, I can
two,
do it
and
too.
keep
Yeah.
saying, why can't I? And keep upping that 5 hours. The next thing they'll wake up by the end of the week, and it will be an entire day that they didn't smoke. And I'm like, what would you do instead of smoking? Find something now, because you're going to have more. Whatever you do when you feel like smoking, because that smoking, the only reason people are smoking because it's connected to a feeling. So you bring another feeling that is going to take you in the direction you want to go.
Yeah.
It could be meditation. It could be listening to music. It could be dancing. It could be walking. It could be journaling. I don't know, but what can you do that connects you? Find it, but you're going to have to experiment with it. And so I'm not a therapist, so to speak, anymore, but I believe that some of the most complicated things in life are really simple. And I am the problem and I am the solution. Period. It stops with me.
100%. 100%.
Oh my
and
God.
I just want to, we have to go, I'm sure.
Yes.
But there is a law of, I think it's a law of polarity. So it's a universal law, like gravity. It applies to all of us. You can't have up without down. You can't have hot without cold.
No.
You can't have a problem without also a solution. And the solution is usually in the problem. And it's just so obvious if we don't overthink it.
Right. And I think that's why people call me a disruptor, because it's always like something you didn't think of, but you already know when I say it.
Yeah. And sometimes they just need that permission of like, okay, so like that's the answer. Like, yep,
So
that's
I
the
am
answer.
right. I have the answer.
Validation. Yes. And then you build you're like, oh, I can trust myself. I can trust my intuition. I should do that more.
I should do it more. Let me create more of these. And I had a guest on earlier on. He was one of my earlier guests, first or maybe three guests, my first three guests, third guest. He talks about these win-win moments. Because a lot of times we're looking for win-win situations, win-win jobs, win-win careers, win-win relationships. But that we can start with the moments. If you win in moments, eventually the picture gets bigger. Like it's one stroke on a canvas that starts a painting. It's never, they don't start creating a whole painting and then bring it down to the last, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and the first version, like, fail forward. Like the Facebook that we use today is not the Facebook where we were farming.
Mine is blue and black, but everybody else I asked said theirs is not. I'm like, I don't know, maybe I have a bug on my phone, but I have a blue and black Facebook right now.
Oh, mine's blue and white still. I think I haven't been on it as much, but
maybe you guys don't pay as much attention.
Or, like Tesla or any computer, like the MacBooks continue to change and get better.
Yes.
So do the phone. So like if they were too embarrassed to make the iPhone 1, we wouldn't have the 16s coming out.
Funny, like, it's back to blue and white again. What happened to my Facebook yesterday? It was
maybe they were celebrating something like Google.
I'm going to look it up. I didn't Google it. I should Google it, but that's weird because it'd be funny if it was just me. I'll try to figure out what that meant.
Yeah. Okay, so this whole conversation was because I found guilt at age 11, so I need to release that for you.
You have to clear that out now. I'm
30 minutes later.
Yes.
So destroy and uncreate guilt through all time, space, dimension, and reality. Is guilt released? Yes.
Oh, I just felt something in my left arm.
Left arm's side of the heart.
Ah. So that probably because I was.
It's also the sign of receive. The left side of the body is the feminine side, which is the receiving side. The
Oh.
right side is male, masculine, giving. So just maybe open up another channel of receiving for you.
Come on, six figures. We need to get this work done. It's funny. I tell people all the time, I don't need but more than 150,000. And people are like, that's a limited belief. I'm like, no, I don't need. None of us need. We don't even need that much, honestly.
A month or a year?
A month. No, a year for myself. If it were up to for just me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
None of us really need a lot. We make believe we do. And then you listen to Will Smith tell you that when you get to the point where you can buy yourself any shoe, any car, any house, any woman, then you realize you look in yourself frontal. He says frontal in the mirror. You're like, now you got to figure out who you really are and what you're worth, because now you realize it's not about the money that you've been chasing all this time.
I believe that. And I also think we get to enjoy it, but it's not necessarily about all that. Like, yeah, $150,000 a year. You're right. We're not going to be much more happy. Well, I don't know. It's like, I'd like to learn that for myself.
We do. It doesn't though. It doesn't from what I can feel energetically. It's the choices that we use the currency of money for that will enrich our experience as a human. It really is down to that, because there's people with a lot of money who are not doing anything. They're getting up every day and smoking and partying and snorting coke. Mm-hmm. And they got money.
No purpose.
They're not even making records anymore.
Yeah. There's 6 human needs. This is Tony Robbins's psychology in his work, but there's 4 needs of our personality and 2 of our soul. And the 2 soul needs are growth and contribution.
Yes. Yep.
And so, yeah, it's important. Like, you're not going to be fulfilled if you're not growing in some way, whether that's learning a new recipe or growing your business, expanding your knowledge, another certification or something like that, and then contributing in some way, shape, or form, whether that's cooking dinner for your family, building a school.
That's right. And so because that's why for me, even though it requires me to have $100,000 to do what I need to do, make 6 figures every month, I still have started doing everything I can possibly do right now, even though I don't have the 6 figures, not just for my good, but for the good of of those 2 other needs you spoke of, contribution.
And I love that you're like, that's not even that much money. It's really not. And for how much money is in the world, 150,000 a month is like zero. But some people are like, can't even
imagine it.
I'm trying to get that.
But do you know that there was a time when I was one of those people?
For sure. Me too.
I sat there and I was writing a grant proposal for a $25 million project. And it didn't take me 2 hours. And I was like, you guys, you do know this $25 million is not a lot of money, right? This is not enough money. I've already spent this because the project is not something I've necessarily done all the way before, but because I had the scope of work and I know, and I'm like, I mentally put this together. I'm like, this is not enough money. And I know some people are like, well, what are you thinking? Well, you just don't know, because I'm going to do this and do this right. This is not enough money. And there's nowhere the government will even give you enough money to do the real thing that needs to be done. So now you have to water it down. But I'm like, it's a $2 billion. I have a $2 billion. I talk about having no less than a $2 billion net worth, because that's what's required for the scope of work. So for me, when I see 50 million, I'm like, okay, all right.
It's a good start.
Exactly. And it's not about, because for me, if I am responsible for a $2 billion net worth, then I am also responsible for a lot of people and their economy and their businesses and their families. People don't think that way about money. We want the money, but we don't think about the responsibility of having that money. So what I've done is I get myself ready for a $2 billion network. And if those who are listening, like, oh, that's why she has a movement, that she's working on changing 1 million mindsets. Oh yeah, but do you know how many staff it takes to mobilize for that? And so while I'm not making my 6-figure months right now, I am still invested every bit of resource, time and every other currency that exists and anyone who would join me into building as if I do have that 6-figure income, as if the $2 billion network is waiting for me to get my act together, because I really do believe it is. Because the alignment is, that's why you just did all the shifting for me with me. And I told y'all this is going to be a wild episode. It's going to be one of those Jay Shetty and Mel Robbins. My editor, he's like, Dr. White, why are you worried about a 1 hour episode when the content that you all are providing is so good? We could split it in two, but Jay Shetty and Mel Robbins and all these people that he listened to and I listen, it's like their podcast is 2, sometimes 3 hours. And I don't mean to have a guest on that long because we have life, but when it's good, it's good. And what I want to say to you all is act as though it is. My mother raised us to say, dress the way you want to be addressed. And so what I took that into all the areas of my life, I show up like I'm already there. I walk into a room and people already see me. It's like, I wonder why people are asking me for money from all over the world. This has been years. I get, when the Gaza war, people from Gaza find me, people from all these places find me on social media, wherever. I get WhatsApp messages. Can you help me? Can fulfillment empower? This is my company. And I'm looking at this and I remember saying to Dr. Else, I said, why do you think people think I have this much money and I can really send a private jet with food? He's like, because you do. And I'm like, no, Tom. He's like, because isn't that what your vision is? You are already showing up energetically in the world as that solution that you asked to be. So don't get upset when people see you that way. Welcome it and say, okay, what am I doing to block the flow of the currency so I can do what I need to do? Isn't that, what do you think about all that? Because that's really my life.
No, I think you're embodying it energetically, like you're acting as if, to the point where, okay, so we haven't talked about this. The law of mirrors is another universal law. So everything outside of us is a mirror reflection of what's going on inside. So if you're getting cut off on the freeway, reflection. If someone's complimenting you, reflection. If you think, oh, she's so successful, if only I could be like that, reflection of what's possible for you. And you're getting reflections of like, can you help me? Because that's inside of you. And then also I'm thinking these are signs that it's totally possible, because God wouldn't be sending people to you asking for your help if you didn't have the ability or the network, if it wasn't going to be a possibility. And maybe it's not helping them in the exact way that they want right now, but you could do something. Like, let's start small. Because I think people, if you're afraid to get started small, you're not going to get big. Like, you have to start somewhere and get practice. And so some people want to be like like, when I get rich, I'm going to give in this and this and this way. Well, are you already giving just on a smaller level? No. Then you need to start doing that. Like, think that your dollar is enough. Don't be embarrassed to only donate $1. If everybody who saw this post donated $1, this person would be just fine. So thinking that you're not enough, what you have to give isn't enough. And it's like,
limiting belief.
It's $1 more than thousands of people are giving. If it's not enough to them, then that's on that person.
Yes. Whew. That's so good. That is so good. Belief systems. We have gone with the code, the emotional code, the belief code, and also, what's the last one?
It's the body code. And that one can get, the belief and body code are more complicated.
Interchange. Okay. Yeah.
Because there's associated imbalances. It could be a whole chain of it could be like an hour for just like one.
Yeah, we're going to have to do another episode on that. As a matter of fact, Gina, I know I'm going to invite you. We talked about this before, to do a masterclass for the MM360 community, as we're featuring thought leaders. So that's where we're doing it for the community, but we'll invite everyone across the globe to attend. So I'm going to make sure you have your invitation. We're going to start rolling that towards, I think we're going to start planning and building the roster here in a couple of weeks, but it's going to be for 2025, where every month we have a thought leader that just leads on their topic. And I'm definitely going to ask you to be one of them.
I accept. I would love that.
Yes. So you guys will have to tap in there, and then obviously you tap into her. So Gina, tell us how to connect with you, because this has been so good. This has been so good.
Thank you. My Instagram is Heal with Gina. It's right here if anybody's on YouTube.
Yeah, and it's also in the bio wherever you're listening and watching this.
And my my website is ginagiro.com. If you want to book an alignment call, see if working together would be right for you. We just talk. We'll see if like my program can help you. I mean, I know the energy healing can, so
yes,
we could just figure out what would be right and if it's aligned for both of us and go from there.
And you guys will be hearing soon about the 6 figures that I will be making, because we removed 2 blocks from my body and also from my ancestry, I believe, today. And so I'm looking forward to coming back with Gina and celebrating my first 6-figure month very soon, because I believe I've been aligning for it. And it's that one, sometimes it's that one last thing I needed, what Gina's work is. And we demonstrated that. She did that so powerfully. She was spot on. If you're watching the video, you'll see that I was literally sitting here just grinning, in my opinion, about how God works and how we reveal stuff, because she was spot on with the timelines and the events, and then we just released it. And so, Gina, can someone do that at home? Probably not. They need the help. I don't see how it's possible, because for me, it's a blind spot. I see it as a blind spot. You wouldn't know what to do.
I mean, is it possible? Yes, but I've been training for this for 4 years to be that spot on.
And is it also the clairsentientism that worked when you were connecting?
Yeah, and I built this skill of muscle testing for a long time to make it precise. And a lot of people, they try to do it, and their emotion code, they're trying to get certified, and they're stuck in their head about can they do it? So it's like you need somebody that can release those blocks. So yes, you can do it on your own, but if you want it done like yesterday, book a session and like, we can get it done.
And that's what I wanted to emphasize. Don't think you'll just sit here and say, oh, I had this. You could be jumping around, because she sat there and intuitively, and with her clairsentient gift and also her training and practice, she picked up on it very quickly. It was undeniable for me, and even feeling and knowing she was connected to my energy. And we believe, I'm already sitting here in a space where I believe in the work that she's doing, not only because I met her, but because I'm doing it. So go connect with her work and book a call with her. And if you want, you're going to have to release a lot of old belief systems and release yourself into the highest, best version of yourself, and then welcome this kind of work, because it will really change everything for you. It really would. And I believe that from the bottom of my heart. I can sit here and do career coaching with you, mindset coaching, but a lot of this work comes from places that you don't see. And that's what Gina does. And for me, I will always work hand in hand with her. That's why I created a company called Fulfillment Empowerment Network. It's a network of professionals, and I don't have to pay them, and they don't have to pay me, but knowing that she exists will help a client break through so quickly so they can get back to finding work. Because believe it or not, people have blocks to finding work.
For sure. And then they might be like
an $18 an hour person.
You try to save money by not investing in a coach or an energy healer, but what is it costing you in the meantime to not just pay the money and like get it going? Like you can spin your wheels for a long time.
Yes.
In disbelief. So have somebody like release those beliefs and the energies associated so you can like get to the business of being empowered.
Perfect. So Gina, it has just been such a phenomenal conversation with you. I thank you so much. We all thank you so much for being the light that you are. And I'm looking forward to continuing collaborating with you. Everyone, go to @Heal with Gina on Instagram. Follow her, let her know you heard her on the podcast, and then go to her website and book a call with her and get yourself relieved. I'm feeling really good. I might just be a genius this weekend. It's a holiday weekend, and really finish my strategy for my 6-figure months, because I'm ready.
Nice.
Thanks, Gina.
Thank you.
Listen, all, live passionately in purpose. Remember, everything begins with your thought. Really, how is your mind set? Because the setting of the mind will determine your success. I'm Dr. Alisa with my dear friend Gina. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, thanks.
Thank you for joining us for this impactful second part of our conversation with Gina Giro. We hope you found the insights on healing, abundance, and the law of mirrors enlightening and actionable. Remember, your beliefs shape your reality, and by releasing limiting thoughts, you can create a life filled with purpose and fulfillment. Don't forget to check out Gina's special offer for a discount on her sessions and her insightful ebook on finding money blocks. For more resources and information, visit her website and stay connected with us here at Mindset Mastery Moments. Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and remember that you have the power to manifest your dreams.